technology behind it. But what is behind it is, of course, one side is technology, but you are trying to keep me at the edge of my seat as a spectator, because it startles me that the person who talks to me all of a sudden shifts half a shoulder width to the right or to the left, or was closer. So it's a very time-consuming type of post-production, I guess. Yeah. And I think it has to do. Yeah, well, I have to acknowledge there's a reason behind why it takes long. But there's a deeper reason behind that.
Hearing nice things about my work makes me just so deeply uncomfortable, but I'm really appreciative. In watching this film, it's sort of interesting. In watching Gesualdo over the weekend.
Maybe you could tell us what that film is for people who don't know it.
Sure.
Well, it's about a composer, late 1500s, early 1600s, an aristocrat who composed music that was completely insane for the time it was written. It was only somehow understood and imitated in the 20th century. Stravinsky, for example, made pilgrimages to the castle of Gesualdo, in the town of Gesualdo, and wrote a couple of pieces for him, most notably Monumentum pro Gesualdo, Monument for Gesualdo. And I came across the music, and it was one of those moments where I had the feeling lightning had struck me, and I called my friend Florian Fricke Popol Vuh, the composer, at 4 in the morning, and he was barely awake and couldn't follow me because I was screaming at him about what I discovered. I thought I was the first and only one who had ever discovered Gesualdo. And he started laughing, and he said, everybody who's in music knows about Gesualdo. There's music that we have heard only 400 years later, in a way. A visionary, someone outside of his time, and I liked him for that. And he became very notorious for murdering his young wife, whom he caught in flagranti, and murdered both of them, and then fled to his castle and locked himself up and hacked down the entire countryside single-handedly, chopped down all the trees like King Lear in madness, seeing the forest apparently closing in on him, and had young men whipping him and flagellating him until he died from the wounds 12 years later or so. A wonderful story, full of incredible twists and things, and of course the film has a lot of invented things in it that I invented. But I invented these things for gaining a deeper truth about Gesualdo. So, and that's probably what you noticed, and it's obvious in some moments.
Well, I noticed a lot of things about it. I have this theory, I don't even know whether it's true or not, that there are really no good movies. They're just good shots in movies. For example, that shot in Grizzly Man is worth the price of admission. There's a shot in Gesualdo which I found really quite extraordinary, because I can't imagine anyone else putting this shot in their film. And it's this angel on a pulley, a little boy.
Yes, a steel cable across a town square or so, and flying, yes, and pulled on a steel cable.
And yeah, it's a magical moment. It's you don't know why it's there exactly. You can imagine various reasons why it's there, but it has this power just in and of itself. I often think of symbols versus fetishes, that symbols are like old men. They have to have crutches. They have to refer to something in the world, whereas a fetish stands alone. And seeing these kinds of images really excites me. The first shot. I'm not saying that I don't like the rest of the movies and that there is nothing good in the rest of the movies, but invariably, if it's something really great, there's one shot that stands out. And the very beginning, of course, of Agira is an example of exactly that sort of thing. And another film, which I believe is, if it's not your first film, it's damn close to your first film, Signs of Life.
First long feature film, yeah.
First long feature
But I
film.
had done featurettes before.
Yes, and there's a shot of the windmills of, and I haven't seen this film in 30 plus years, but
Yeah.
I can see it really clearly, as if I'm looking at it right now, and it's because it is such an extraordinarily strange,
Yeah.
fetishistic, and powerful image.
For me, not fetishistic, but it's wonderful that you are saying that. Now, what happened was when I followed the footsteps of my grandfather, who was an archaeologist, and I walked all the length of the island of Crete in the mountains, and I come across some sort of a mountain pass, and I look down into a valley, and there are 10,000 windmills. There's not a single building, but it's 10,000 windmills. And I immediately realized there was something not right with me, that I was probably insane. And then sitting down and looking again, I realized now the insanity is in the landscape. And in a way, I carried this image, which was so strong for me. I carried it for 8-9 years, and it is the central image now in my first feature film. But it had a history of being dormant inside of me, and it's easy. In this case, it's very easy to understand the power of the image, the power of, as you say, the fetish. And I have to brood over this labeling. But sometimes in films, when you see that single shot beginning of Aguirre, or your shot of the empty backyard and nothing is happening there 5 times, you have to see it, and you have to understand the power of the image. And you have to be ready that the producer, the distributor, or whoever is out there carries you out of the theater in a straitjacket. If you're ready to do that, then you're a filmmaker. And your films are full of such moments. And it even includes Cave of Forgotten Dreams. Tonight, I'm expecting that somebody is going to ask security to take me out in a straitjacket. It may happen.
Unfortunately, that film is programmed at the same time as my film.
So we will be shoulder to shoulder. Yeah. Anyway, I've seen your film and you'll see mine eventually.
It's so strange that we remain friends. But I often think that I am the exact opposite of Werner Herzog. We had dinner in Los Angeles not so long ago, and Werner was talking about how he'd gone into a cave where no men had been for tens of thousands of years, and he was making a movie in the wilds of Siberia, and there was a laundry list of these incredible adventures across the face of the globe. And I said to Werner, well, you know, it's interesting you should mention this, because my last film was made in one of the most desperate, depraved, frightening places on the face of the earth. And Werner asked me, where is that? And I said, Van Nuys, California. But I don't know. I think that both of us, and I hope I'm correct, certainly it's true about Werner, we're both involved in a certain kind of risk-taking. It's the thing that I took away from the Death in Five Voices.
Death for Five Voices.
Death for Four by Five Voices is that art was somehow about risk-taking. And I think that actually, perhaps more than anything in the movie, moved me. Because I think it is true. It's doing something that's ill-advised. I remember saying to you once that there was nothing more depraved, more debased, more disgusting than filmmaking. And Werner looked at me appalled and said, "You must never talk that way." That's absolutely out of the question. But it's really doing something that shouldn't be done, properly considered.
Yeah, sometimes I think the same way, but I always come back to the conclusion that there's a certain nobility in it as well. And you just do it. You just do it, and you expose yourself to whatever comes along. You face whatever is coming at you.
How about this as a compromise?
Okay.
The fact that it has no nobility gives it a certain kind of nobility.
That's too dialectical for me, but I understand how you are functioning, how you are ticking. No, let's settle to something more primitive. It gives a certain meaning to our existence.
Yes.
And nobility is too far-fetched. Let's forget about that. But you can actually wrestle some meaning away even from Van Nuys. And it doesn't matter how depraved it is. Van Nuys is inhabited by humans, and you are capable to describe them.
Don't go too far here. There's another, it just comes back to me, there's another line, and I believe this comes from you from 30 plus years ago. And it's a line that I often think of in the context of whatever it is that I do. That part of art is extending sympathy in places where it's never been extended before. And I believe this does come from you years ago.
Could be.
That part of the job of an artist is to look in places where people would not normally look, to examine people who would be passed over or ignored. And I agree with that. I think that if anything gives it a kind of nobility, this tawdry enterprise, it could be that.
I do want to ask you a question about that to both of you, because